latency or just about on these streams, which is a little bit of a pain in the butt and is the reason for me not being able to use the other link that I had. I didn't realize how much work it was going to be to stream everything, but that's not what we're here today to do. We are going to be talking about 5 different things, and I have these way too loud. All right, well, I got 5 different main questions for reselling that I get all the time, or at least a lot in the comments, and are going to be some stuff that we're going to talk through, and then we can do any Q&A that you guys would have as well. But I also have this massive shipment that I'm going to have to get done. Definitely not going to be doing that all live because that would be ridiculous. But we can start that a little bit if there is a lot of Q&A. But to just get started a little bit, let me find the first question. And let's get started with what software do I use? Now, there are a bunch of different softwares that I use in my businesses, both reselling as well as YouTube, but we're really only talking about reselling here, unless you want to talk about YouTube. Since I'm streaming on my phone, it's hard to show all of the apps. So I have my wife's iPad for some of the stuff that we're going to get to. But in terms of the main apps that I use, and the reason we're doing this one first is because we're waiting for some people to trickle in. But I use Amazon Seller app, and I did have a question earlier about the fact that Amazon does charge $39 per month whenever you're using the professional account. And I know that's the main one that is advertised. And so if you are new to Amazon and you just kind of want to get your feet wet and see about sourcing without having to spend $39, $40 a month in order to do that, you can always just go and do an individual account. And with the individual account on Amazon, you don't have to pay any fees. But if you do start selling and you think it's going to be more serious, you might want to change that account from an individual account, because the individual account will charge you $1 for every item that you sell. So if you sell more than 40 items, which is something that you might be able to do in one single day after you get a little bit more serious, you'll end up spending way more on fees than you otherwise would have. And you can just do that by searching individual account on Amazon, and it's one of the first things that shows up. As you can see, Seller Central, what is the individual selling plan? So that's pretty simple. eBay as well I just use the free version of eBay that you get, and I don't really use that as much anymore because I'm really trying to phase out of that because we're moving into a van one, but then also it just isn't worth my time. And so I've really evaluated that I'm not going to be using eBay as much. The next main ones are going to be Scoutify 2 and Inventory Lab. This is probably like the workhorse of my business, and is one of the reasons why I don't even need the Seller Central app on my phone. I do have it right now, and I have it here because of something that I'm going to show you. And this is the only reason I would ever need to download the Seller Central app, but we'll get to that when we get to Kevin's question. And if you saw my community post, too many of you think that you're Kevin. But on Scoutify 2, this is just what it looks like. You just log in, you have your own Seller Central. You be able to log into Seller Central through here. And this is what I use to source everything. And you just click this button. I'll grab something. Since I have this massive shipment down here, I just grab this 3M boat stuff. It'll pick up the barcode, and then you'll be able to find a lot of information. I do have some other videos about that. Oh, I guess I didn't pick it up. Oh, that's because I have it on airplane mode. That's why it didn't work. I have another video about that if you're more interested in that, or if you want to talk about that today, we could do that more as well. But beyond Scoutify 2, I also have Inventory Lab, which is the computer-based version. Let me turn this around real quick. And on Inventory Lab, we'll be able to see. My hands are shaky. That's not good. Why does this feel so much more nerve-wracking than actually making a video? So on Inventory Lab, this is what it looks like. It's just the seller dashboard, so it'll show you all of your sales. And then we also have research, list, inventory, accounting, a bunch of that stuff. And those are the things that I really, really enjoy about reselling. I'm going to try to get to questions as they come. That way we can work through these 5 things because I already have that planned, but I don't feel like I'll be confident or I don't feel like I'll be confident that I'll be able to get to all the questions and remember to do that if I don't do them immediately. So Christopher Berry asked, how do you feel like your business model will develop in time? It seems like you started looking at online sales to restock and replenish for you. Do you see yourself transitioning to OA or private label? OA, for anyone who's not familiar, is online arbitrage. And online arbitrage is something that I'm honestly not too interested in getting into. It seems like a pretty saturated space. You could say that about retail arbitrage as well. It's just kind of what I'm more comfortable with is doing retail arbitrage. And for me, my business model, I really feel like is just trying to get to the point where I don't have to work as much reselling and focusing more of my time on YouTube, because ultimately, like the video that I posted, I think it was today. Yeah, the video I posted today was just talking about finding ways to leave your job so that you can do something that you're actually fully passionate about. And I really enjoy reselling. Like, I don't mind the days that I go reselling a lot, but I much more enjoy spending time making YouTube videos and perfecting that craft and helping people run their own businesses, because I want to see as many people as possible live the life that they actually want to. And the best way to do that is either create your own business or figure out a way that you can meander your personal finances to get you to that point. And so in terms of changing my business model, it's more so trying to streamline the business model that I have by using a lot of those different replenishment sources. Like a lot of the stuff that I bought at Academy, and even some of the stuff that I have at Walmart in the back there, is stuff that I also bought online, but I'm still buying it in the stores. But I purchased it online because that way I don't have to go to the stores as much, and I'm trying to minimize the amount of time that I'm spending reselling to maximize the amount of money, or at least make the same amount of money, and kind of capping that time because it's not the thing that I enjoy the most, if that makes sense. Hey, Felix and Alicia, thanks for the support so much. And Matt, hi to you. I'm not everyone, so there's that. But going back to the softwares that I use, Scout IQ is one software. I didn't have time to download it onto my wife's iPad, but and the desktop version doesn't really do what I want it to do. But I really like Scout IQ pretty much just for one purpose, and that's to look at Keepa charts. I don't know if this is like a loophole, or if I'm sure I'm missing out on a lot of the main Keepa features, but I don't need those features because I get them through Scoutify too. And on Scout IQ, if you've seen any of my videos, it's that orange app that I open up and always turn to the side because I show the chart. You're able to open up the Keepa chart from Scout IQ, even though it's about $10 cheaper than a Keepa subscription would be. Scout IQ is only $14 per month, and Keepa would be, I think, $25 per month. All the prices are in euros and pounds. So I really enjoyed that. And the last software that I use is my repricer. This is something that is, just like I was talking about when I was answering Christopher's question, really helps to save me time when I'm running my business, because I don't want to have to continually be going back in and changing my prices, especially because there's a lot of people on a lot of these listings that I'm on. And so I used to use Reprice It, which was all right. My first couple shipments were actually books, and I really don't, those are the only shipments that I did of books, and we'll get to that in a future video for sure, or if you have questions about that too. But Reprice It really was pretty much just racing to the bottom for me. And I know that there's a way that you can do it better, and someone had commented that they really enjoyed using Reprice It, and it was a little bit easier, especially because it was so cheap. But I've transitioned over into Be Cool right now, which is an AI-based repricer, at least the plan that I have. And with that, they're kind of learning what the competition does. And the main thing that I really enjoy about that is that I can put minimum return on investments on all of my items to make sure that I'm making money on everything. Because there were a lot of items that would sell out, and they would sell out for low prices because I was just racing to the bottom with everybody else. And then the price would just go back up to a really profitable point, and I was losing a lot of money for no reason. So now having minimum prices have been really helpful. And I do have a full video coming out on that on Monday, because I was initially going to do a 2-week review, but I ended up doing a full month review because of something that we'll talk about in that video. But a part of that thing we're going to talk about is that I have links for all these down in the description. They all have free trials. Inventory Lab is a 30-day free trial. I don't think you need to put in your credit card for any of these. Inventory Lab is 30 days free, and it's $49 a month. Scout IQ has a 14-day free trial, and then it's $14 per month after that. And Be Cool normally has a free trial that's for their $50 per month plan. That's 14 days long. But if you use the link that I have, and then you reach out to Be Cool support, it'll automatically be done through the link. But the people that I've talked to there just recommend actually reaching out to them, support@becool.com. you can actually get their 1000 AI listing plan, which is a $100 per month plan. And instead of a 14-day free trial, they'll give it to you for a 30-day free trial. That way you could set everything up and really see how that would work for you. And then if you don't need that plan, you can drop down to the other plan, or you don't even need to use any of it. You don't have to put in your credit card information. And like, I'm only affiliated with them. They're not sponsoring this channel at all, but if you're interested, you can definitely check those out down below. And if you just want a free month of repricing or inventory management, go ahead and do that. I won't tell. Okay, let's see. So I'm really bad at this thing, if you couldn't tell. Let's see. Joanna, yes, please reach out to me about Be Cool. Yeah, you can email me, reach out to me on Instagram. My email is AM as in Michael, my middle name, Bodanza, my last name, at Gmail, or anthonybodanzayt for YouTube at gmail.com. Either of those will get to me. And then, or just on Instagram at ambodanza, and you can always reach out anywhere there. Just a little J, was it hard to make money when you were gated? So, that's a good transition. My second question was, how do I get ungated in blank? And that blank is just whatever category it might be. And essentially, there are a couple different ways to get ungated in things. And this is going to answer your question, but it's going to meander a little bit first, Jay. And first is invoices. I've personally never done this. If you want to, you can find suppliers who will give you invoices when you buy things. But there are a couple of caveats with that. You do need to be a business, and you need to have a resale certificate or a business certificate or license from whatever state you're doing business in. And on top of that, you're going to need to order at least 10 units of the item, and then you can get ungated for categories or for brands. But I personally have never done this route because I haven't needed to. It's been one of those things that for me, I want to minimize the amount of energy and time and money that I spend on this in order to make enough to survive. So I haven't needed to do that, but I do know it's a way that some people do. And I kind of dropped a hint in one of my recent videos after I realized that Academy sent me an invoice for something. So you might want to go back and be interested in that as well. But the second thing is search. I'm really bad at notes for myself. Searching and selling whatever you can sell in the meantime. And this kind of gets back to your question. Was it hard to make money when I was gated? And yeah, for sure, it was much harder. I had a comment. I forget his name. I'm really sorry. But he commented that it seemed selling on Amazon was so much harder than it seemed in my videos. And I try to show as much authenticity as I can, and even like the hard parts for sure. But it has gotten so much easier as I've gotten ungated in more and more things. And all that has meant is that when I was first working at my job for the first couple of months of reselling, and then also until I got my first real big wave of being ungated in a bunch of categories, I wasn't able to find stuff nearly as fast as I could. For instance, I'm going to put half of this was bought, and more than half of it, in a video that's going to come out on Saturday, where I finally went out for the first time in almost a month reselling, and then about $700 more I actually bought today in a different video that I'm filming. But I spent $2,300 on all that stuff at probably like a 70 to 80% return on investment, and I was only outsourcing for less than, I think, 8 or 9 hours. And so that is mind-boggling to me, because it used to be that I would be able to spend maybe, I don't know, $100 an hour on like a good day. So I was budgeting for myself 2 full days to go out from early in the morning until late at night to resell after I quit my job. Otherwise, I was going out about 4 days after work every week, and 4 days a week, some days on the weekends, and sometimes after work, and probably spending about 15 to 20 hours every week or every 2 weeks in order to buy things that amounted to where I needed to be, which is $1,500 worth of spend to quit my job. And then a part of that as well is every single time that you see that you're gated in something, always request for approval in it. And this is something that really helped, because ungatings will come when you do that and just be kind of random. This has happened in a couple of the videos that I've posted before, but the first major round was about 3 months into reselling. And I think at that point I had sold maybe $20,000 of items. I don't think it's necessarily based on the amount that you sell. I think there's a massive algorithm, but I was able to get a bunch of stuff just auto-ungated, which is how I've gotten ungated in everything, including these things that I was trying to scan earlier, which are something for boats and automotive. I was really gated in that, and now I'm not gated. I just found out that I was ungated in a bunch of stuff even over this video I'm going to post in a couple of days, which is kind of crazy, including like toys and Nerf and stuff like that, which I'd only requested once way back when I started selling, because when I started selling, whenever I would see that I was gated in something, I would always just hit that request for approval button in Seller Central, leaving Inventory Lab if I was using Inventory Lab to scout and going into Seller Central. And then at that point, and so I got ungated in a lot of things. And then the second major wave came at around these past couple of months, so month 10 and 12 of reselling. And I won't reveal all of my numbers because that's going to come out hopefully in the next 2 weeks when I hit a major milestone. Not the big milestone, but it's big for me. So, and then a part of that is if you haven't really started, at least like getting your feet wet and realizing what are going to be items that you can sell now, which is going to take a lot more time than even the time that I've shown in these recent videos, will be really beneficial, especially because 3 months from now, and if this is how it works, is going to be the start of Q4. And I got my first kind of round of ungatings right in the middle of Q4 or towards the end, so that was a little bit difficult. But if you start now, which is about a month before I started, you might be able to be on that front end and get a lot of those sales on a lot more items. So I saw that we got a ton more comments coming in. Wow. All right. Oh, this is so supportive. Thank you guys so much. Joanna sold 30 units yesterday. That's awesome. So Christopher asked again, why wasn't book something that I wanted to continue? And a lot of that was because the main reason is I sent in a shipment of books. I had done it a little bit, but then I also at the same time sent in a shipment of my first retail arbitrage stuff, and my retail arbitrage items were a lot more profitable than the books were, and they sold way faster. And so because I'm trying to maximize my time, at least maximize my time in order to make the most money, it just wasn't worth it for me to do books. And I just personally don't enjoy going to Goodwills and doing the book things, but I really enjoy going to stores and doing RA. So that was why that was the case. Third-party processing centers that you can send your inventory to, and they pack and send it. So 956980, I have not really thought about it too much. It's crossed my mind because I've heard people do that. That might be something that I look into when I move into the van with my wife, but at this point, I'm not super interested in that, mostly just because I haven't looked into it, and that's it. And I'm comfortable with the amount of hours that I'm working sending in shipments now, but when I move into the van, that might be something, if I could just send it all to them, that'd be great. This video is going to be posted so you can rewatch. Yes, it will be. I'm debating whether or not I'm going to re-edit it because I'm sure that there's going to be not a lot of boring stuff, but a lot of stuff that might need to get edited out, but it will definitely be up. And either it's full form or in a form that I cut out some of the things that aren't valuable. On the video you posted, I mentioned the van. Are you planning on traveling and living in it? Yes. So, Alicia, kind of similar question. We are going to be moving into the van in a couple of months. 2 or 3 months from now, we're going to be living in the van full time and traveling. We are going to be creating a business around that, another YouTube channel. We've already started it a little bit, but I haven't posted anything. I got some videos that are in the works, and that'll be its own other thing as well. And for inventory, I'm thinking kind of the way that it's been recently, which I'm really grateful that I've been seeing these waves of ungating, is as we go through a couple cities, maybe taking a day. I'm thinking if rental car prices go down, maybe just like renting a minivan, because our house is going to be in like 90 square feet, and trying to resell as much as I can in 1 or 2 days and just shipping it all in. And that might be where I use those shipment centers. The Be Cool plan, I'm on the $100 Be Cool plan. It's the one where you get 1,000 AI listings and 10,000 total rule-based listings. The $50 plan is only 10 AI listings and 5,000 rules-based listings. But like I said, Nathan, if you do the link down, and if you do my link down below, you can always check out the 1,000 AI listings for free for 30 days. Jay, what's up? My dad is here. Do you not consider the thought of investing to get ungated in products and seeing and skipping frequently to make your time sourcing more profitable? Honestly, I don't see a lot of products that I necessarily think I would be able to get. A lot of that's like the blinders. I noticed products today when I was out that I had never noticed before, just because they were on clearance today. And then some products around it, I was like, oh, these are ones I can sell. And so I kind of feel like I have blinders onto that. But I'm pretty comfortable with where I'm at. If I ever am really stagnant in my sourcing, it might be worth it. And that definitely would be something that'd be worth it. If you have the money in order to do that and you really want to cut down that time, if I had the capital available to have done that at the very beginning, it might have been worth it, because I wouldn't have had to go through a lot of the hassle of just waiting to be auto ungated and like going through so many stores of just getting completely skunked. But I haven't been skunked at almost any stores recently unless I wanted to just like get in and out pretty fast. But I feel like I can always find something that will fit my rules to resell, but I try to maximize my time. So that would be something that might be worth it for you. Do I ever source toys? Toys are big profits. I have not sourced toys until I walked into a Walmart in the video that I'm posting 2 days from now and saw a bunch of toys that were Hot Wheels and Nerf that I was like, I can't sell these. And then I searched and I was able to sell them new. So I picked up a bunch of Hot Wheels. So I'm excited for Q4 because right now they're already 100% ROI. Hopefully the prices will go up, and they were some pretty good ranks. But I will be looking into those more from now on. So, but I don't know a lot. Wow, you guys are asking a lot of questions. I really appreciate it. Okay. Selling for 3 months, ungated in Olay, Nivea, and Neutrogena, Joanna. That's really cool. So the one thing that's really cool about that is the fact that like I'm not ungated in those, and I haven't even necessarily thought to get ungated in those because those aren't products that I sell. There's just a lot of things that you'll be able to find that I might not necessarily know about. And so if you have the ability to, there's just a lot of profit to be made in a lot of different places. And like my expertise, because of stuff that I've done growing up, is like soccer cleats, because I really enjoy playing soccer, for eBay, and then like fishing stuff because I've always loved fishing. And so those are the things that I gravitated towards first. So you don't have, if you see me sourcing stuff but you really prefer looking at other things or shopping for other things, there's going to be profits to be found in those areas as well. Some of them might not be as easily ungated, but that's really cool that you were able to get ungated in all those. Jay sent your first shipment. That is awesome. Good rankings for books. Honestly, I am not 1,000% sure. Sales rank is one of the things that we are going to get to on just a more general basis. But for books, I've heard anything from like, oh, you can be over 1 million. But I try to stay under 200,000 for almost everything that I sell. Just depends on what it is and what my experience with it is, and then what the keep a chart might look like. But we'll get to that in a second. FBA fees are eating up a lot of profit. Any way to lower the fees? The one way that I know that might be able to lower the fees, Rakin, or Rakin, I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name, is that there is something called small and light. If you have like something that is super small and light, then there's ways to pay less FBA fees. I personally just am looking for stuff that's already accounted for the fees, and if there's too high fees, I just don't pick it up, and that's unfortunate. Christopher, first shipment, that's awesome. Jay, do I pay taxes quarterly or yearly? I pay everything yearly right now, but I save it all on an account that I don't touch for anything. And so, yeah, Jay's right. I put away monthly for taxes. I just put that in my own savings account instead of sending it to the government, and then at the end of the year, I'll pay taxes. So I think after you're over a certain income threshold, then you're going to have to pay quarterly, but I don't think I'll be there relatively soon. Is it possible, DJ, is it possible to have more than one eBay so I'm not limited to only selling 5 items for the month? I am not really too sure on eBay. I've been selling on eBay like on and off for I think like 7 to 10 years now. No, it can't be 10 years. I was 13 at that point. Probably like 5 to 7 years now. And so I can list 250 per month. I've heard people have said that you can have multiple eBays. I just would not be the person that you know. Do I need a business entity like an LLC to resell? Perfect. Gumshoe, let's get into that question. Yeah. So, should you get an LLC or is a sole proprietorship only okay? For me, I started, this is just going to be my experience. I'm not like a tax pro or anything, but I'll give you my understanding of it and how I started. So I started with only a sole proprietorship, and I was that way from when I started reselling in July or in August, September, all the way until January 1st, 2021. And the reason I transitioned January 1st is just for tax reasons. It made everything a lot easier, so I didn't have to have 2 tax forms last year and 2 again this year. I could just split it easily down the middle. And the sole proprietorship was fine. It's going to be something that is difficult if you're trying to get invoices to get ungated, because you're not going to be able to get the resell certificate from the government in order to provide that to manufacturers or distributors in order to get the invoices. But other than that, I had no problem with it. Just no matter what you do, please first set aside money for taxes. Just always set aside money for taxes. I would so much rather overestimate taxes, because that way I know come tax time, I don't have to worry about any tax debt or anything like that, or I'm not scrambling. That's one of the things that like really hurts people who are just starting their business. So put aside money for taxes for sure, but also like always separate your money. Personal and business money goes different. If you are able to put it on different credit cards, if you use credit cards, definitely do that. So all of that money is completely separate and you track it separately, and you should track both as well. But then I became an LLC, and here are the main reasons why. First was we had multiple businesses that I wanted to fit all under one LLC, which would make everything a lot easier. So we have the YouTube channel here, the other YouTube channel that we're going to be starting soon, which hopefully will be making some money. Carissa has a business where she does digital marketing and some creative, and then also Amazon and eBay and reselling. All of that kind of goes into one thing, which I had gotten the question about why I have 10 business accounts overall, and a lot of that's because we're managing money from a couple different businesses. So the 10 aren't just for Amazon, it's for all the business accounts for everything. And then you also get a reseller certificate. Now, you can get that. I don't have one right now from Florida. I probably will get one. It's just negligence on my part that I don't, and because I haven't needed to get invoices, and I haven't wanted to, and I haven't gotten the tax-free. That's not saying that you should do that. It's probably dumb that I haven't done that, but I'm just being real. And then the degree of removal from personal accounts and personal business. Everything can be handled through a business. It seems a little bit more corporate, a little more professional. And then you can also get business credit cards, and they have some better benefits as well. So you don't need a business entity to resell at all. That's like a lot of high schoolers will resell. I did that in high school just on eBay and stuff. And even on Amazon, you can still set up your account as a sole proprietor, and that would be fine. Oh my gosh. Let's see here. All right, let's move. We've been in one area for a while, and if you know me, you know I like to move around a lot. So let's head over here. And gotta grab all this stuff. Yeah, cool, good. Okay. So, DJ said 2 of the 5 items were canceled after purchases, or they gave me an offer but never paid, so it counted as my listing even though they didn't sell. Yeah, that is the worst. And one of the reasons why I'm trying to get out of eBay a little bit is because that customer service side of things is just a pain in the butt, and I don't want to have to deal with that if I could just do Amazon instead and not have to deal with a lot of that customer service stuff. And then, yeah, I hate that a lot too. Journals are a moneymaker, I swear. Yeah, that's one of the things that is kind of sneaky. If you're trying to get into retail arbitrage and you can't sell a lot because you're new, most of the time you can sell books, maybe except for some textbooks. And so journals are technically a type of book, at least I think. And so I was able to get Ungated in Moleskine, I think my second month reselling. I don't know why, but they just auto-ungated me in Moleskine. And if you're able to find some journals, even Ray Dunn journals at like TJ Maxx, Marshalls, those are the only places I have journals around me, but they are good. Someone said, one of my comments said they've gone to Staples and found some, so maybe that'll work for you too. Okay. Yeah, fishing supplies, Christopher, as well, are a sleeper, so keep quiet about them, please. Yeah, you're able to get a lot of fishing supplies. You don't have to keep quiet. Just to people outside of this community. That's an insider tip. Yeah, I really appreciate people saying that my channel will grow fast. That is very humbling, and I appreciate that very much. Certain amount you need to hit before paying the income tax. Rakeem, yes, there is. So there's a couple, yeah, there's a certain amount. Taxes are a whole messy topic, but you have standard deductions, which if you're an individual, I think right now are $12,400 per year. So if you make less income than $12,400, then you're going to adjust that income down to zero after or before you pay taxes, so you won't pay taxes on that. And so I personally, but that's total income. And so if you're working at a job as well as reselling, you're going to have to pay taxes on the reselling because your job is probably going to eat up that $12,400. If you're married, just double that. Or if you had a household, you multiply by like 1.5 or something. And so I personally, all the money that I take out of my business that I'm not using for it, and so like operating expenses, retained earnings that will be used within the year, or you can roll them over if you are an official business. Just talk to a tax pro about that to figure out how to do that because I am kind of talking out my butt on that one. But any operating expenses, don't worry about that. But any money that I either pay myself, put into my owner pay account, or pay it or put into my profit accounts, I'll take 30 to 40% of that and put it into a tax account that I don't worry about it, mostly just for my own peace of mind. That way I'm living and operating my business off of the rest of it. No, and then essentially next year, like already right now, based on how much we're able to write off, especially because the van is going to be a business write-off and a lot of stuff we're doing for that, we have made in our businesses, because we've saved so much for the van and have put that into our business through owner contributions, we've only made like less than $10,000 this year. I think it's less than like $5,000 if we remove all of our deductions, but we have like $3,000 in our tax account. 3,000 plus right now, almost $4,000. And all that means is that come next year when I do my taxes, there's going to be a big bonus that we can either spend on furthering the business or going on vacation, whatever we want to do, as long as we're doing it in a tax-wise way. You also have self-employment tax, which is a little bit different, and I am not 100% certain on that. I prepare a lot for a lot of my videos, and I cannot pull that one out of my hair right now. So does that mean you can account? I'm not exactly sure what that question is about or how to pronounce your name. Kevin, the real Kevin is here. A lot of people are saying they're you on the community page, Kevin Pointer, but there were like 5 or 6 people who said that they were Kevin. They weren't. When sourcing, ended up buying a hazmat item. Are you able to sell hazmat? Any tips for being approved? I think that was one of the questions that I wrote down here, because you threw that on the other stream. Let me go grab the iPad real quick because I should have just brought it over first. But I got some hazmat items here, actually, kind of crazily, mostly because I'm dumb, but we'll just call it, I bought these in March preparing for this item for this time right here 4 months away when I wasn't making videos about reselling. All right, so we have all these items. These are matchsticks, and if you're not aware what hazmat items are, or dangerous goods, it's mostly dangerous goods. It's things that deal with fire a lot of times, or aerosols. It was a pain when I was first reselling. I bought a lot of like hair dye stuff. It was gonna make me like 200, 300% return on investment. I bought it at Ollie's Bargain Outlet and ended up having to return it because even though if I was to look up this item, so let me look this up real quick. It will tell you in whatever app that you're able to use. Oh, I haven't even signed in Seller Central. So I'm going to sign in Seller Central here, but that was a slur. You'll see that you're able to sell the item. Even if I was to just look it up in Seller Central itself, it's going to show me that I'm able to sell this item. But there's something that you can see in the Seller app that will tell you whether or not it will be hazmat. The problem is, and for the people who aren't Kevin, who don't know this. Oh, shoot, that's going to go to my phone. Oh, it showed up above you guys. 197310. All right. So if I go ahead and search this real quick, it's going to pull up this item. Now I bought these for $1.50 initially. So we can see that you're getting back $4.44, which is a good return on investment at that point. And if we look down here at the restrictions, I can sell it in new condition. The problem with that, though, is if I go over to the Seller Central app and I search the same thing, and for some reason on the iPad it looks super small. But let's go ahead and search this up, give it access to the camera. So when it pulls it up, we're going to pull up the same thing. And you can see, again, you can sell it in new condition. This is kind of the trick, though. When you go over here, if you click this or see this icon, it's showing you that even though you can sell it, it's not currently eligible for FBA because it's hazmat. So when you look it up on the Seller Central or on the Seller app, you're able to see that little thing there, and that'll tell you that would have saved me the pain of buying all of this stuff. But we bought it. And kind of crazily, in the video that's coming out on Saturday, I promise I'm not trying to plug it, it's just related. I bought a lot, or I brought one of these into Walmart since I picked it up, honestly, I think it was like January or something. It was a really long time ago. But I brought it to Walmart, and they gave me 80 cents back for it. They gave it to me in cash, I think, because it was such a small amount instead of store credit. But since I bought it for $150, and either way, I'd rather just sell it. I actually just got an email today in a different video that I'm going to be posting next week that I am eligible to apply for the hazmat program, which is interesting. It does say it's invitation only, so I'm not sure how you would go about getting that. I think it's mostly just being able to sell, and the more you sell, kind of like Ungating, the more they're going to offer for you. I also got offered to join something where they help you grow your Amazon account, but I wasn't super interested in that because I do reselling, and I'm just trying to keep it on the DL and sell as much as I can to live and make a little bit extra money. So that is how you deal with kind of the hazmat dangerous goods thing. Make sure I'm level. All right. I really appreciate you guys answering questions for each other as well in the comments. That's really helpful for me. Hey, Joe, welcome to the live. So, Joanna, yeah, moleskins, but notice Amazon is on the listing. Do I list and wait till Amazon sells out? Yeah, especially now with Be Cool, I do. I talked about that in a different video recently where I had purchased some items and I saw that Amazon was on the listing, and they were on the listing to where it was only going to be about 20% return on investment if I bought the moleskins. But I still actually picked them up because when I clicked into the Amazon listing, because I knew that it should have been a higher price. They're only selling it for like $16. It was a planner that is new now. It should sell for like $24. I saw, and then I went into the listing and saw that it was on sale from $24 down to the $16 that they were selling it at. And so I ended up picking them up and just being like, I don't know, I'll throw it at my price. Since I have a repricer that I now have minimum set, I know I won't lose money on it. If it does sell, obviously, that's the kind of question. But as we can see, let me pull it up here. This was one of them. Let's see if you can see that. Yeah, this was one of them right here. And I sold it for that $24 that I had it listed for. Hopefully you can see that. But that's happened with all of the ones that got in, and they all sold within a week. I have had history of being on the buy box on moleskin, so I don't know if that's helpful. But especially if you're just testing it out, if it's a couple of items that you can buy and they're returning 100%, I haven't had any problem selling them, especially because they move so fast. Back last fall when I started reselling and initially got approved for moleskin, I sold probably 50 to 100 moleskin over a 2-week period just because I was able to find them all, and they all sold almost immediately when they got in there. So that would be a good pickup as well. How do you solve an IP complaint? Michelle, that is something that I have some questions about as well. I got an email from Casemate a while ago about a potential IP claim or an IP issue, and I reached out to them and we communicated off Amazon because they let me do that. But the only other time I've gotten IP claims is when someone said that I was selling counterfeit items. I don't even think it was the brand owner, to be honest with you, because the sendback email was just like claimamazon@gmail.com or claims.amazon@gmail.com or something like that. And that was the email that they said was for the brand, which doesn't seem legit. And so I did everything that I could. I peeled it a couple times, and it's just been on my account. It's going to roll off, I think, in 6 months or a year, whenever it ends up rolling off. I did everything essentially that I could to prove that it wasn't counterfeit. I showed the item. I showed the receipts. It didn't have any invoices, obviously. The only thing that I think I could have done more, which I thought about doing but didn't end up doing, was actually buying an item from a distributor and getting an invoice. But it was a counterfeit claim, not a claim that I just couldn't sell the item. It was really weird. And then Amazon checked out the items and sent them back to me, so that kind of frustrated me a little bit. So I'm sorry that I don't have a better answer. All right. Yes, so does that mean I can keep my sole proprietorship account for now as long as I'm not trying to be ungated? Yeah, that's what I did I started selling in August, and I didn't get my LLC until December. And the main reason I got my LLC wasn't even to try to get ungated. It was to combine all the businesses so that I could legally use funds from one. It's now technically department of the main business, and use it for a different venture that we had going on, and kind of mix those funds all under the same umbrella company, even though it's just one company. Christopher, I'm definitely not giving away all of my replens. I don't know. Part of me wants to, because I feel like that brings a lot of value, but I definitely can't. But yeah, I have plenty. Don't worry. I say a lot of them are down there, and you might see them in the videos, but you wouldn't know. Well, you might. 20 bags of chips when you started, but notice I'm competing with Amazon Fresh. Is this not a viable option for future? Don't compete with Amazon. Rakeen, I've never competed with Amazon Fresh. I feel like that's a little bit different. I feel like that's people who are just trying to do all their grocery shopping. So I've never even honestly seen Amazon Fresh on any listings that I've tried to get on. I haven't even really sold much grocery. Even though I am on Ungated in grocery, I'm interested in potentially finding more of it. And then for the future, don't compete with Amazon. I personally don't super mind competing with Amazon. Mainly because a lot of people that I see saying don't compete with Amazon, when I look a little bit more into their content, and I don't do this all the time, I'm not saying that this is 100% true, but I've seen that a lot of times they're shooting for a lot lower return on investment than I am on a lot of items because they're doing a lot more volume, and that's a good business model as well. I personally, if I have an item that I have 100% return on investment and Amazon is on it and I can still make 115 return on investment, I can first off wait on that item more because if the price drops a little bit and then it might go back up, I can just kind of hold on my price and put my repricer on it. Or I can just undercut Amazon by a little bit. Sometimes Amazon will follow you, sometimes they don't care. It's happened to me a lot of times that they don't follow me. But if I'm able to have a large enough return on investment, I don't mind competing with Amazon. But if it's like, and at the same time, sometimes you can check to see how many they have left in stock, especially if they're low in stock and you just click into the Amazon listing and take a look. So I do compete with Amazon on a decent amount of my listings, but I try to stay away from it if it's a listing where I'd only make like maybe 45, 50%, even if it's a really low sales rank. Sometimes I'll pick those up, but most of the time I'll try to stay away. Yeah, Kevin, I have had, for the hazmat thing, I have had to return a lot of hazmat items in the past. That was always frustrating when that happened. And I was literally about to return these today, and then I woke up to that other email, and so I'm holding on to them for a little bit because I'll get 80 cents either way. It's already like 6 months past the return date. Was it a hassle switching from an individual account to a professional account? Alicia, I didn't start with an individual account. I'm kind of like an all or nothing person, so I went all in pretty much when I was like, this is something that I'm going to try and test out legit, and so I initially got the professional account. If you're asking about a hassle from switching from a sole prop to an LLC, I had no problem. Even switching my bank accounts, I've heard that can be a problem for some people. I didn't have any problem switching to an LLC, changing my tax information, changing the name on my business since it wasn't my name anymore, it was the business name, and changing the bank account that it was deposited to. So, I don't know. Will I wholesale in the future? I've thought about it, Jay. It's not something that's I'm interested in right now because I don't want to take the time to build those relationships. But I'm interested in it. Maybe if we're in the van and I'm bored and I want to get into a little bit more of a business or a different business, I might be interested in it. But for now, I think the margins are lower than what I get for retail arbitrage, and the time that I would put into it isn't something that I would enjoy as much as either retail arbitrage or making these videos. So I'm not super interested into it now. Carlos, what's up? Carlos, I won't tell our story, but we work together. So good to see you, man. Do I use an accounting software like QuickBooks? I do use QuickBooks. I don't use Inventory Lab for anything except for inventory management, and then I will use it to cross-reference against Amazon come the end of the year to look and make sure that all the fees are accounted for and like kind of correct between the two to make a sense of the 1099 that Amazon gives you. But I use QuickBooks for all of my accounting, and then I don't mind necessarily doing that. I'm kind of a numbers guy, but at the end of the year, I'm gonna have to worry about that a little bit. Just as I talk to my accounting person. Yeah, Joe, I bet if you put me at two times speed, I bet I talk fast. I listen to myself at 2 times speed when I'm editing, and sometimes I have to like go back and listen again because I can't even catch what I said. What am I using to determine sales velocity or units sold per month? Matt, that's a good question. So, oh no, I grabbed the wrong thing. That was one of the questions that I kind of had planned. I'm gonna grab my water and we'll grab that card as well. When I'm looking at whether I'm going to buy an item or not, there's a couple major things that I'm looking for. The first, it kind of goes in order for me. The first thing that I'm looking for is the return on investment. If the return on investment is good, then I can continue looking at other things. Normally, I try to get my return on investment around 100%, no matter what. If the sales rank is really good, I forgot my water. 50% is what I'd be okay with. And so that's first what I look for. And then sales velocity or units sold per month. I don't necessarily look. The way that I determine that is after I figure out the return on investment, then I'll look at the sales rank. And I know the sales rank just either based on my experience or listening to some other people talk about it. But like I said, a lot of the times what I'm looking for in sales rank is anything 200,000 or below in most categories, especially when you're talking about sports. But sales rank is all, as a lot of you guys know, based off the total number of items that are in a category. So a lot of the items that I have down there are in sports and outdoors. That would be anything from fishing to performance socks to I think some bikes maybe. I don't know. There's a lot of things that are in sports and outdoors. There's 27 million items. At the same time, in something like toys, there's only I think less than 2 million items. So the 200,000 rank is something that I was way enticed to on some of the toys that I looked at, and then I looked at the next thing that we're going to talk about, and I wasn't as interested anymore because that rank is 20%. It's the 80th percentile because there's only 20% that are better than it, instead of being like the 97th percentile if you're at 200,000 or 300,000 in sports and outdoor. So that's the main thing I look at is return on investment and then sales rank. And if I don't know if the sales rank is good or not, then I'll look at Scout IQ because I'm looking at the Keepa chart. A lot of people integrate Keepa into Scoutify 2 when they're sourcing, but Keepa essentially is what I use to look at sales velocity. But a lot of that is done through Scout IQ because it's $14 per month instead of the more expensive one, and I don't necessarily want or need all the other features. Excuse me. And so I'll basically just take a look and see how many times it dips on a 3-month basis. And especially if it's something that I've never bought before and I see that it's sold 6 times, but there's no FBA listings, I'll just pick up 6 of them and see what happens. And then I'll occasionally go through my inventory and see what I might need to replenish if I'm able to replenish it. But at the same time, if it's something that I'm looking at units sold per month and I don't know if I'll ever be able to see it again, like at a Ross, if the rank is good enough, a lot of times what I've learned from making the mistake of not doing this is a lot of times I'll just buy all of them that I can, up to I don't know, 20, 30, who knows. But a lot of times, and it happened a lot of times, especially when I was first beginning, that I left a lot of profit on the table because one of the videos I watched when I was first doing this, which is great advice, was that a guy would like always test it out with 6 units max. And so I was like, oh, 6 units, that's the rule. And then I would buy a lot of 6 units and then they'd sell in a week and then I go back to Ross and they wouldn't be there. And so a lot of times if it's a low enough capital investment, but it's a good return on investment, and I don't know if I'll ever see that item again, a lot of times I'll just buy the run, and that'll be good for me. And then a big part of that is testing. If you can test it, like I said, which are going to be your replenishables, if you can't test it, then if it's something that you don't know if you're ever going to see again, might as well just pick up all of them if you can afford to do so. And a lot of that comes from finding those other things that you can replenish. And I've been interested in making a video on that. I'm trying to find a way to do it where I don't give up my replenishables since I'm still getting paid from Amazon. But as YouTube starts to grow, like a lot of you are seeming to say that it will, which I really appreciate, I'll be making enough from YouTube, hopefully, that I don't have to worry about Amazon and maybe can have a little more liberty with the videos I'm able to make. So, if anyone is new to Seller Central, so Rakeen said that he was new to selling, and he said like a weekend he got Ungated in grocery. And what's weird is that every account is different. It's never gonna be the same. And so even if one of the first things that you do is just sign up for an individual account so that you don't have to pay any monthly fees, and then go to the store and request to get ungated in every single thing that you possibly can, because you're gonna be gated in a lot, that might be a really easy way just to even test to see if it's something that interests you in being worth it or not. Christopher, contributing to 401k with company match versus keeping the money invested into inventory instead. Did the math, and it looks like the latter option outperforms the first. Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at simple numbers, it's probably that investing in inventory, if you can find good inventory and know that it has good sell-through, is going to be more worth it just in a strictly mathematical sense than a 401k with a match. But I would personally go with the 401k match. That's what I did until I left my job. If I invested 6% at Fifth Third, the bank that I was at, I would get 7% matched, which was 100% vested, and that's kind of the key, is being vested in that. And so I just invested in that because the return on investment probably actually even just mathematically better with the 401k if it's 100% matching, because you make 100% automatically there plus whatever else you're going to make down the line. And yeah, it might be if you're making maybe we'll say 7% conservatively if you're in a balanced portfolio over the course of a year, versus you can flip inventory multiple times and then eventually get over 100% return on investment. But that initial free, risk-free 100% that their company is going to give you, or whatever that might be, I think is well worth it, because you want to be diversified no matter what. And that's just another place that you can park money, and that'll be money that you can use to live on down the road. And you can be building your business on the side as well while you're investing in the 401k. That's personally what I would do, but I don't know. You're smart. Do I ever get kicked out of stores? Jay, I've only got kicked out of stores one time, and it's because I was filming. It was the video that I posted last week about the 4 things that I do to have less stress in my Amazon business, I think. And that was, I was at Ross just filming, and I think it's because I was filming a pretty long portion of the video in kind of one stationary spot right by the front door. They're like, hey, you can't film in the store. And that's the only reason I got kicked out, not because of reselling. But it was kind of dumb because I was like, oh, why? Because you see me, I film all the time in Ross's. And he said it's because his associates can't, so I can't either, which doesn't make any sense, but it is what it is. So, no, I haven't got kicked out of stores. I thought I was going to get kicked out of Academy today, but I didn't. I got said hi to far more times than I normally do, but I also wasn't wearing headphones like I normally do, so maybe people are saying hi and I'm just not noticing. And hi by like the management is what I'm saying. Hey, Mac. Glad you didn't miss the stream either. Joe, that's smart. So Joe said when he started out, he would buy all the inventory first and only send in 6. And if they sold fast, he would send in the rest. If not, he would return. Oddly, I never had to return something, he said, which kind of goes back to like the whole thing that I was saying. I think that if you want to be even more risk averse, kind of the way that I did my eBay business is if you don't know about something, you don't have to send in a ton. And that's actually what I did a while back. You might remember on a heart inflator that I bought 3 of, but I wasn't sure because it was a really new listing. It had gotten onto Amazon about 2 weeks before I bought it, but it was a low rank, so I didn't know if the rank was because it was a new listing or because it was going to sell a lot. It got in, it sold within like 3 days, so I sent in the other ones, and they sold for high profits as well. But that's a really good thing, that if you don't want to have that potential loss, you might be able to return them. Emil, what maximum rank do you buy in certain categories? For example, toys. I honestly don't have a maximum rank per se. I would say I cap sports and outdoors around 1 million, but I have bought things that are over 1 million rank because I've looked at the Keep It chart and saw that it sold. And a lot of times, most of the time I won't look at the Keep It chart, but sometimes the only time that I'll mainly look at a Keep It chart if it's above a certain like normal rank that I have. For sports and outdoors, for me, that's around 300 to 350,000. I'll look at the Keep It chart between 200 and 350,000. If it's over 350,000, I won't ever look at the Keep It chart for the most part, unless it's a similar item or the same brand of other items that I do sell that are either way lower ranks or are still high ranks, but I've sold a lot of before. And so that is one of the ways that, so that's one of the things that I do, but I don't necessarily have maximum ranks. For toys, I'm not sure because I've just bought my first kind of run of toys over the past week. For a lot of other things, like, yeah, I think most of my stuff is sports and outdoors, even like socks and things like that. And so that's kind of what I do. But you can just notice if you like want to cross-reference it with Keepa, even if you just want to start and try with the free trial of something, you can do that. Haven't even started sourcing yet. Hesitant on what is profitable enough to buy, ranking, etc. Do you have a real beginner's video on listing 101 all the way to shipping? I don't know if I have like from the very beginning listing to shipping. If you want to check back in a couple hours, I'll try to put together a playlist of the ones that are closest to like sourcing to shipping to everything. I do have a couple videos on sourcing, a couple videos on shipping, but that is, I'm gonna screenshot that real quick so that I can make that video soon. Oh no, I just hit the wrong button. All right. Yeah, so Rakeen, when I did FBA shipment with 20 items, noticing that inventory is making 5 to 6 shipments anyway to condense it to 1 or 2 locations. I'm not 100% sure I understand all the numbers in that question, but I love to answer it. But I've noticed a lot of times when I'm spending really small amounts of shipments, there will be a low number of, or a couple different fulfillment centers. But I've had also people tell me, because I expressed that in one of my recent videos, and people said that they thought that wasn't true, and most of the time it was smaller amounts of shipments. And then I sent in a pretty small shipment, like 150 units last week, and I only got one shipment, so I'm not 100% sure. I would love if you would re-ask that question though, because I don't quite get it. My numbers were 50% up to 6% of annual salary, which I compared to rolled over inventory at 30% profit per month. Thanks for the feedback though. Yeah, and for sure. And I just like free money, and if someone's just gonna give me 3% of my salary to save for retirement, which is something that I want to be doing anyways, that's for sure something I would do. But at the same time, I did lower my overall investments in order to quit my job, but that was in my IRA. I always invested because they were giving me free money, but yeah, definitely you can make that decision. Still selling books on Amazon Mac. Got sidetracked by eBay. Was doing well because of my job. Focus on Amazon more. That's awesome. I would love to know, Mac, like as a truck driver, are you sourcing at places that you're going, or mostly just when you're not actually working? Because I feel like that would be kind of hard, or also kind of similar to how we're moving into the van and doing it that way. Are you tax exempt at stores? D-Man, I am not tax exempt in stores, mostly because that's my choice. It is a pain. I've molded over my head a lot and never kind of overcome the hurdle of getting the tax exempt certificate. A lot of to be completely honest with you guys, and I'm gonna grab my water while I say this, but a lot of times like will do things in my business either for the first time or things that I know that I need to do just in general for the sake that I'm making a YouTube video about it. And so it's really helpful that you guys are here kind of as an inbuilt accountability. So I think I am going to make that video because it would be beneficial, and it would even be beneficial to me to do that. So yeah, getting a reseller certificate and becoming tax exempt in some of these stores would be good, especially at the ones that it's not even a hassle, like a Walmart or an Academy. But it's the ones that like Ross, where they don't actually take resale certificates for resellers, and which I know because I was behind another reseller who was buying really crappy inventory. I do not know where he was selling, but he was buying JanSport backpacks at like $20 that I had scanned as well, and they sold for like $27. So I don't know where he was selling them, but that was weird. Duong, welcome. Yeah, so Jay said about like sending your first shipment. My inventory lab video is definitely how, like, the step-by-step of sending in your first shipment if you want to use inventory lab, even if you just want to use it for your first shipment and try it out for free. I have no idea how to pronounce your name, whoever has that first question. It's a bunch of letters, but yeah, the inventory lab video is a good one if you just want to figure out how to send in something step-by-step. Do I prefer RA over OA, which is better? D-Man, I do prefer retail arbitrage over online arbitrage because I first like going to stores. I'm kind of cooped up in my house a lot. I am an introvert, but I'm an extrovert introvert. I'm an introvert in spaces of big people, so I prefer to be where a lot of people are. So I do prefer retail arbitrage, and I prefer just kind of the hunt of going and finding that stuff. And just clicking away on my computer sounds a little bit tedious to me, but one of the things that I have been doing is saving a lot of my time by, after I find some replenishables in stores like Academy or Walmart, going online and seeing if they're selling them online there for the same prices. And then I've picked up a couple of those items as well, which has been helpful. What kind of van is it? Is it good on maintenance? Yeah, Nate, it's a 2012 Freightliner Sprinter. I would show you, but it got real dark here in Florida. And we bought it really used, and it was terrible on maintenance, but we got it for a steal. And we got it for a really good price. We had to do a ton. I spent like 15 hours doing rewiring one day last week, just because they put a bunch of wires where they didn't need to go. It was a whole mess, but we got a ton of work done on by a mechanic and some body work. We were really excited. Besides Keepa, is there another way free to see how well a product sells, since you keep mentioning it? The only way that I know is just through the sales rank. And I guess one of the other really good ways is not just the sales rank, but also looking at the actual Amazon listing. Because you'll be able to see the amount of reviews that something has. And so, for instance, I've had some items that I shared a couple of videos back where they seemed to be really good. Like, it was in electronics. It was earbuds, and I've sold earbuds around 10 to 20,000 because it's a subcategory. And then I looked it up, but it only had one review, even though it should have been selling a lot. And there was another one that had a higher rank, but it had like 10 or 20 reviews. And so because of that, even though I can't see even on the Keep It chart, because it's a subcategory, how well it sells, that's how I'll cross-reference those type of items that I can't see on the Keep It chart, is by looking at the amount of reviews that something has. And so that can be a good way to look at that as well. Basically just because especially for the van, I've been buying so much stuff on Amazon, I have not left a single review. When I ship small shipments, Amazon will sometimes skip distribution warehouse and will have you ship to your items to the last leg. Yeah, that's what I thought that they did sometimes. And I think Joe probably does a lot more volume than I do, instead of just the normal distribution center. And that is what I thought that they had done. So that's good. Yeah, Jay, I agree. Online does seem more complicated. We have a lot of J names in here. So Joe said he tries to ship in at least 70 items. Maybe that's the threshold for Amazon. I don't know what the threshold is, but I trust him. Alicia says she's been trying to start FBA for a while and been neglecting it and saying that she'll start next week and never do. And you shouldn't hate yourself for being that way. There's probably something that's really hard going on, and that's okay. Give grace to yourself. Like, you can move forward, and if you want in the future, you can get started, and maybe that might mean that it's not the best for you, but maybe it is, and so you can do it. How long did it take for you to pay yourself through Amazon? Most of my money is in reserves. My payouts are barely covering my credit card. Joanna, yeah, so I didn't pay myself until December, I'm pretty sure. So I bought my first items in August, and then all through September, October, November, I was paying 100% of what was getting paid out to me from Amazon was just going straight back to my credit cards and paying off all of my inventory. And then in November, I started actually the system that I talked about in the videos where I talked about numbers and how I split all of my income in order to make sure that I can pay myself and run my business in the best way possible and still be profitable. And so I started paying myself in December. And at that point, I was right before I started paying myself. If I would have continued to do what I had been doing, which is paying off my inventory, I would have been completely inventory debt free. But since I started to pay myself, I actually still have inventory debt now. It's been paid down on a much slower rate because I started taking $1,000 out. But I'm comfortable with that because I haven't paid any interest because the debt is all revolving. And I'll talk about that in a different video if you're interested. But yeah, the reserves is kind of a pain in the butt. I feel like it is a little bit of a necessary evil at the beginning, but my reserves seem to be, at least the way that I understand it, is that, let me grab something. When you make a sale, so here's the sale, and then it's gonna take 3 days for Amazon to ship. And then after Amazon ships it, and man, if I had an Amazon van, I don't know if they maintain them well, but it's a Mercedes. Mine's only a Freightliner. Then they'll ship it to the customer, and the estimated delivery is this day, and then they give you your reserve. This is really not as good as I thought it was going to be. They'll give you your reserve 7 days after your estimated delivery. And so that's what I noticed that they've been doing. I think that's what they said, and it might change from account to account. I've heard of some people not having a reserve, but those are normally people who've been selling for a while. But what I've noticed happens for me is that when Amazon gives me my payout, that day my reserve balance goes to 0, and then it starts to build up from there until I get my next payout, and it doesn't really build up my account balance, mostly just my reserve balance. Yeah, Joe says Academy accepts sales, tax exempt sales. I know that. I've heard them talking about that. I really need to get on that. I really need to get on that. I spent $1,700 at Academy over the past 2 days. Holy crap, $1,600. It wasn't that bad. Hey Randy, if you want to reach out to me on Instagram or something, we could potentially set something up, or you can reach out to me via email. I don't think I put those in the description, but it's just if you just look up my name, you'll be able to find me. What type of glue does Ross use on their labels? Yeah, their labels, I use heat. It really helps it to get off, and then glue on after that. Some people have told me that lighter fluid works really well as well, and I want to try that. I've heard that a lot. And then, but yeah, the ones that suck, the Ross labels that suck, are their clearance labels. The ones after the normal labels that have black on the bottom, those are the worst. Everyone's in Florida. This is great. It's been hot this week. I've been trying to shoot while outside and in the van and stuff. I've been like needing to blast my air conditioning and like turn it off for short sections that I can talk and you can hear me, and then blast air conditioning again. It's a mess. So Mac switched. Oh, Mac's in Florida too. That's cool. How do I keep from getting frustrated when I don't find any profitable products? D-Man, honestly, sometimes like the key is just to let yourself be frustrated because it sucks. Like that's the reality of it, but not to like be frustrated beyond the point where you're not going to be able to move forward. But it's okay to sit in that emotion for a little bit. A lot of times I'll be frustrated in the car on the way to the next place and just try to do it again. The only real times when I've been like truly really frustrated is when I've spent a whole day reselling and spent less than like $500 or $600, because at that point I know that I'm not spending enough that I need to pay myself, and since I'm making a living out this, that's really frustrating. But at that point too, it also is helpful for me to go and look at either more videos. This isn't a plug, you don't have to watch my videos, but that of people who are doing what I want to do, whether I'm frustrated on YouTube or frustrated in reselling. It always just gives me another spark of an idea, because a lot of times when I'm frustrated, I just kind of turn into myself and think about everything that I'm doing wrong, but that's still thinking about everything that I'm doing rather than thinking about things that I'm not necessarily doing. And so getting some ideas of new things to do is always really helpful for me. So am I maxing out my credit cards, Adonis? I did max out my credit cards for a while. Recently, over the past 4 months recently, I've had budgets to stick to. So instead of completely maxing out my credit cards pretty much stay maxed because I prefer to keep my money in cash than paying off the credit cards, as long as I don't pay any interest. So I'll keep it in cash as long until I need to make a payment that'll pay off my statement balance in full, and then I'll pay that off. So I'll always have cash in my account, at least $200 to $500. Recently, it's been over $1,000. Because I haven't been sourcing, but because I just sourced, I'm gonna have to pay a lot of that off. But I was maxing out my credit cards at the very beginning and then paying it off until after I quit my job, I realized, okay, I need to get a better system to actually pay myself. And so I started, instead of maxing out my credit cards, spending $1,500 every 2 weeks, which amounted to $3,000 of buy cost, which was anywhere from $2,500 to $3,000 worth of profitable purchases. A lot of that sitting in inventory still, but it was enough that I was able to pay myself, and I figured out all those numbers for myself as well. D-Man, how am I going to prep for Q4? Honestly, I don't have any plans on prepping for Q4 at all. The only things that I might do is just making sure that my inventory is purged, and so that might be that like I just get rid of all the books that have been sitting in my account for a year that I haven't sold yet and just dispose of them because I don't care about them anyways. And that way it might free up a little bit of space in my stuff. I don't have limits right now for storage, but that would be something that I would do. And then yeah, it's for sure. Jay said, I have a bunch of Rove water bottles from Burlington that I never shipped out because I'm scared I'll do something wrong or get banned or something. I really don't know why I'm scared. Jay, did you buy those because you saw them in my video? If not, like, it is what it is. But that's kind of interesting because I have some as well that I just shipped in. Yeah, I have 6 that I shipped in. They just got to the fulfillment centers over the past week or so. It might be the same water bottle, it might not be, but it looks like I'm the low price. I haven't sold any yet, but that might be something where you do what Joe said, which is just sending in a couple of them or one of them, seeing if it sells, and otherwise just returning them back to Burlington. Also, at Burlington, make sure that they take down your number for your loyalty extended return, because even though I'm a loyalty member and I was returning something in like 40 days, because the person didn't ask me for my number, I didn't get the loyalty extended return, and so I had to get store credit for the stuff, which really sucked because I wanted to put that back onto the credit card. So don't let that be you. D-Man, sorry, I don't feel like I fully answered your Q4 question. I'm not doing it. I'm not prepping for it because my normal reselling rhythms are enough to sustain my life, and I'm just trying to resell enough that I can sustain the life that I want to, which is going to be moving into the van and spending a lot of time working on YouTube because this is what I really enjoy and helping people find freedom with their money and businesses. Alicia, see ya. How do I deal with returns? So this is one of the biggest things that I did to enjoy my life more and to have more sanity. First, eBay returns, a pain in the butt, but I just closed out a return that I don't get a lot of returns on eBay. I think it's less than 1%, but when I did get a return, they just don't send it back half the time, which is kind of hysterical. But for Amazon returns, I honestly don't think about it. For Amazon, my goal is, like I said, to think about it as little as I possibly can. And I realized after doing it a little bit that returns, like you're going to have returns and they're going to be stressful and it's going to suck. But you're going to have like kind of a set amount of returns. For me, I think it's around 1 to 3% of whatever I sell in a 2-week period comes back in returns. I'm not going to show you my statement, but I'll tell you the numbers. So over this, it's been really bad on sales because I haven't sent anything in for like a month. Let me go to my last statement real quick and I'll let you know the total returns and the total orders. So the one that just closed out for me was July 13th to July 17th. I had $3,000 of product charges and $41 of returns. So that's like that's 1.2%. Normally it's kind of around there. It's been up to like $200, $250 in returns. It just depends a lot on what I sell as well. Phone cases get returned a lot more than a lot of other items. Fishing stuff doesn't get returned a lot. And so just finding those items that don't get returned. But the main thing that I did is, let me show you this. In my emails, because you get emails every single time that you get a return on the email that's associated with your stuff. Over here on this side, we have all of my labels on. Okay, gosh. I just pressed the wrong button. I'm so sorry. But here are all of my labels for my email. And as you can see, we have all of my Amazon stuff here. We have Amazon refunds here. The thing is, I never get notified about Amazon refunds because I always have them go into my Amazon refunds folder and I have them be automatically marked red. That's kind of the main thing for me in terms of not stressing out about it, because I realized that I'd be like, oh no, I'm stressing, because I would stress out about it and wouldn't be able to do anything. And like stress is only useful if it allows you to do something about it. And if I couldn't do anything about the stress, all it was doing was kind of ruining my day all the time. And so I just kind of put them there. So I still get the emails. They get archived. They get read automatically. They just go straight into that folder. That way I never have to worry about it unless I need to find a return. And that was one of the main things that helped me. I don't think that's necessarily what the question was, but when I think about returns, that's the main thing that I think about, because that has just made everything so much more enjoyable in my life. Okay. Jenna, you said you're only getting half and been selling for 3 months. Oh, that was to Rakeem. Sorry. Richie Hustles is in Florida too. Cool. If you do come to Florida, Joe, definitely hit us up. Everyone's in Florida. Is YouTube only surfacing my content to people who live in Florida except for Joe? It's crazy. Have I ever used BrickSeek to find inventory, Mac? I haven't. I looked into it at one point and didn't want to learn it, and I've sold enough, but it could be good for sure, but I haven't. Jay says BrickSeek is integral part of reselling. Cool. So yeah, apparently it's good. I just personally don't. How much was my budget when I started FBA? Michelle, my budget was kind of non-existent. My budget was essentially how much I felt comfortable with spending, which at that point was one credit card limit, which is $3,000. Because I knew that I had an emergency fund, like worst case scenario, I have to just pay off everything. That would be fine. And then everything started selling, and I realized the more I spent, the more I made. And it's because I was putting everything back into the business, I was in a good position. And so this is another thing that I think is pretty important, that as a concept, I don't know how to make it into a good video, but in terms of like budgets and expectations for beginning reselling, there's something that I want to call equilibrium. Now, when we think about equilibrium, it's the point at which if we have two lines here, we have your weekly sales is going to be red, is weekly sales, and then your weekly spend. For me, it's bi-weekly because I do everything every other week. That's too close to the same color. And so that way I try to have a week to just do YouTube, but a lot of YouTube is reselling now, so it's kind of all blended together. Weekly spend. What happens is when you're starting out, your weekly spend is way up here, and it'll normally get a little bit higher as you get better, but especially if you like set a budget, you're kind of going to flatten out a little bit. And so this is my weekly spend line right there. Your weekly sales are going to start out essentially around 0 because obviously you're not getting any sales at the beginning. And then maybe you start to sell a little bit and then it trickles up. And so you get to a point eventually where if you keep the same budget, obviously there's a lot of ifs in this, but if you keep the same budget, your weekly sales and your weekly spend are going to be the same. Now this takes a little bit. It's different for everybody. Since I've started spending more money every 2 weeks, or trying to in a lot of ways, my equilibrium is kind of off balance. But this is the point where every week you're going to be able to be making essentially the profit that you would from your weekly spend, because normally you have to wait a long time. But this entails your inventory balance, which is not your inventory account balance, but the amount of inventory that you have at Amazon, getting to a point where it's going to be increasing, and then stable. And that's what happens when you hit equilibrium, because you're sending in as much inventory as is being sold. So you don't have to necessarily, and so obviously this depends a lot on your return on investments that you're getting on all of your items, whether you're able to find a lot of replenishments. But this general concept is something that I thought a lot about. And I got to that equilibrium point probably 2 or 3 months in, and with about $4,000 to $4,500 of inventory at Amazon. So that's how much it took me to get to that point. But how much I invested in Amazon was, I think, only like $300 total. Everything else has come out of credit and making money from Amazon to pay myself and put back into Amazon. Otherwise, it was just what I had from reselling shoes before. That was just kind of a hobby that I did. But that is something that I really thought a lot about. And for me, it ended up being around $4,500 of inventory. And I know that because that's how much I was so confused. I was a little confused, a little frustrated, but also excited because I realized it was true. In Inventory Lab, you have, if you go over to inventory and inventory, since I just have FBA, we can see that you can see your on-hand buy cost. Right now, mine is about $6,500. That's because I've changed my repricing a little bit, so I'm not selling as much as fast, but I'm making more money on it. So my equilibrium point is going to be a little bit higher, which is good because that means I'm going to be making more profit on it. But that number was around $4,500 for like 5 months. Even though I was buying stuff all the time, I was selling enough that my buying and selling were around the same. So my budget was essentially 0, but I maxed out credit cards for a little bit, but used everything to pay it off. And once I got to that equilibrium point, that's kind of where your business is more running itself. As long as you're buying enough inventory, you're going to be selling similar to equivalent amounts of inventory, sometimes more, sometimes less. And that was really, really helpful concept for me to understand. I hope it made sense. Okay. Jay asked, what happens in Q4? Q4 it's just October, November, December. That's when most sales happen because that's Christmas time. And a lot of other holidays. In America, the main one is going to be Christmas, but there's a lot of holidays that happen in that third quarter of the year, including Thanksgiving, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa. All of them normally happen around that same time, and so there's a lot of there's a lot of buying that happens, which means prices increase, which just drives demand. That's like the most consumeristic time in America. How do I feel about drop shipping? Is that a good business model too? D-Man, I don't think that there's necessarily a lot of wrong business models unless they're exploiting people or are unethical. And I don't think that drop shipping necessarily does that. So I think that there's a way to make it a good business model. I just personally have never done it, and I don't want to take on the risk that drop shipping might entail. What's really important to me is like making sure that people are known and loved, and I feel like that's hard with drop shipping because I'm kind of just the intermediary between people. Not that that is necessarily not the case, but I like having a little bit like more personal connection to the inventory that's going to my customers because I know that my quality control gets to the customer, and because I don't know what necessarily the quality control on the other side is, but normally it's fine. I just personally don't want to do that. Joe, please don't send your kid to Amazon. Your firstborn child, I mean. Like, if they want to work at Amazon, that's cool, but like, don't, yeah. Oh no. Okay. Did I have one more question to answer? I think I do have, I don't know. Yeah, I think I have at least one more question to answer, but you guys are asking plenty, and I really appreciate the interaction. Yeah, Rick Keen said he's not been looking at profit this month, really been trying to build rapport with Amazon. Then starting August, I have set for 75% ROI. Oh, so you're saying when you're sourcing, you're not really looking at profit, just trying to get more sales? I was thinking about that today. You're reading my mind, man. I was thinking about something that has a really good sales rank that I looked at, and I was like, yeah, but it's literally making almost nothing, if anything at all. I was like, I wonder why anyone would ever buy that. Like, why are people selling for such small prices on Amazon? Like, how are you making money? Some people might be getting ridiculously low buy costs, but I feel a lot of people are like that, where if you increase your sales, Amazon doesn't care how much profit you make. A lot of your auto-ungating, I think, is based on how much in sales volume you have, and so that might be a good strategy to do that. I don't think most people should do that necessarily, because return on investment and profit is good, but Rakeen, if that's working for you, that's awesome. Yeah, Jay, if you're gated, JP, if you're gated in everything, just hit that request button to be auto-ungated. I've been ungated in so many things after I hit that request button because your request is going to stay at Amazon, and periodically they'll just go through and approve applications for people. I don't know why it happens or when it happens or what's up with it, but I've noticed sometimes I'll go sourcing and I'll be gated in something, I think, and I'll be able to buy it for a profit. Joanna, you've been venturing into FBM. Had to refund customers due to additional postage. Oof, that's a pain. I don't do FBM. It's kind of the same reason I don't do eBay. I don't want to have to deal with the hassle of all of that. I don't mind paying the extra fees for the extra convenience that it gives to me personally, and I put that into all my business model. Jacqueline Larios, search suppressed? I don't know. Sorry that I can't explain what that is. That might be like in regards to your listing, which might be because of pricing or something, but I've not heard that term before. Sorry. D-Man, doing it part-time and you hate sourcing. Don't mind doing everything else, prep, accounting, etc. Is hiring a virtual assistant a good idea? How to find an honest one? I haven't hired a virtual assistant, so I'm not 100% sure. I know there's plenty of people who have, and that you're in Texas. You've asked a couple questions about like online arbitrage. If that seems like more enjoyable to you, there's plenty of ways that you can make money with that. I just personally don't know how to do that. It seems like the prep and the accounting is all stuff that's like more your house. If you enjoy doing online arbitrage, that might be a better option for you. But also hiring a VA to do all that buying and you do kind of the management of the business might be good as well. Yeah. Rakeen, 30 sales with 55% ROI. That is awesome. That's really cool. It's always exciting because you never know. It always feels like everything's always passed you by, and then you see more people coming and doing it new. It's never too late to start, it seems. What to do in a store when you can't scan the barcode because store label is over it? Passive income. I normally don't do a lot of this. It's mostly Burlington. Burlington sucks. They're really good at their employees are good at their jobs. They put the labels over the correct spots. If it's a product that I've known about before, then like the same brand, then I'll just peel down the label and search it that way. If I have it in my inventory, sometimes I'll just search it to see if I have any left or if I've ever sold it before. But also on the Seller Central app, one of the things that you're able to do is actually use this add a product button up here. This camera, that's me. I'm not going to do the barcode, but if I just hold this item in front of it, it oftentimes, depending on, so it'll be able to pull it up. This is wrong, but it can search just on the item itself, especially if there's enough readable labeling of what the product actually is. Right. The first product on Amazon. It was the first sale on Amazon. Let me see. I think I have it. I can pull it up. I think it was a fishing trot line for catfish. I sold it September 3rd. We were on our anniversary trip in, we were in North Carolina in the mountains. It was supposed to be lakefront, but it ended up being that the lake was drained. Yeah, this is it. This is my first sale. Got a picture of it. $13.10, and I sold, a magic bait trot line clip. Was my first sale ever. I'm pretty sure I bought that for like $3 or something at a Walmart because it was on clearance. September's is clearance. One of the big things is like, if you want to wait a little bit to source and kind of like get your feet wet and just learn a lot, coming up here in September is a time when the quarter is ending or it's getting closer to when people are getting in their Q4 inventory at the stores. So they'll put a lot of stuff on clearance, especially a lot of fishing stuff that I like to sell. And that's one of the main reasons why I was able to like really kind of hit the ground running is there were a bunch of fishing clearances, and Academy had a clearance where Academy, if you have academies by you in Florida, honestly there's not a lot of them. There's one in Melbourne, there's a couple in Orlando, a couple more north as well, Daytona areas. I think there's more. There's a bunch in Texas and across the Southeast, but academies have this awesome clearance deal where they'll do clearance prices, and then like a week or 2 weeks later, they'll do clearance plus 25% off clearance, and then a couple weeks later, they'll do clearance plus 50% off, and then clearance plus 75% off. And so I'll end up being able to get something for like a quarter that sells and makes me $5 back. Those are those are the best. I love those. It always feels weird because I'm only walking out with spending $400, but I have like $4,000 worth of sales sometimes. It's crazy. The fastest way to get ungated in categories. Tyler, we talked about this a little bit kind of closer to the start of the live stream. The fastest way is to get invoices. If you get an LLC, get your reselling certificate. You don't need an LLC, just any type of business that you can get your reselling certificate. You can get ungated by getting invoices from distributors or suppliers. And I personally have never done that. I've just sold whatever I can sell and then gotten auto ungated in it by requesting ungating every single time I can. And then sometimes Amazon will just approve it. The product being search suppressed, Jacqueline, it sounds like that might be about your own private label listing. If it's not, if it's about retail arbitrage, my guess would be either it's a pricing issue or something is wrong with the listing, and I would just reach out to seller help, and they would probably be able to give you a little more information. These things sometimes, but sometimes they're really good. If the product is under... Tyler, where's the request button? I source using Scoutify and don't buy the item if Scoutify tells me I'm restricted. Where's the request button? I'm not sure. If like the restriction button on Scoutify is down here at the bottom, right there. You can also hit this one in the middle, and the very bottom one is going to be Amazon restrictions. But it'll pull you into Amazon for that. Joe, you got to process that inventory, man. $5,000 is a lot. Right. FBA has 6 of my items in pending for 24 hours plus. Any idea how long until it clears? So, in terms of like sales on FBA, a lot of times it takes 24 hours. It's just based on how long the customer is going to wait for it to get shipped to them. Let me see the last order date. So yeah, this is the last item. It's for me. This was a week ago. And so that was something that was purchased, and the money hasn't cleared into my account because it's still pending on Amazon because it's been a week. And that's the longest I've seen is 2 weeks for me personally. It doesn't happen often, but sometimes it does. All right. Coco, so finding profitable items is difficult. I'm interested, like, what types of items are you sourcing right now? A lot of times, what I've found is I personally look for items that have low prices, just like themselves. If they have low prices, then a lot of times I'm going to be able to find profitable items, especially replenishments. That's kind of my big tip. Like, I look for stuff that's $1 to $2 to $3 sometimes. Normally at stores like Walmart, where prices are normally lowered, because they can afford to do that, and then I'm able to find some things that are going to end up being profitable. But sometimes it just takes searching new areas that I haven't searched before, because everything is sold on Amazon. Just a couple of days ago, I went to the art section, which is something I haven't done in a long time, and I was able to find some stuff that was 150% return on investment. A lot of it's just going to be searching, and I personally try to find like various niches that I buy a lot in, and then I'll kind of always go back to those, but have sourced enough in different areas to know which brands might be good, so that if I'm having a bad day, I might be able to go find other things. Takes how many days for the inbound inventories to be checked in by Amazon? It depends. So when you send it in, it'll be received by them. Sometimes it takes 2 weeks to a month for your inventory to get there. But if you click on the Manage FBA Shipments, they'll give you a closed date for your shipment, which will be the last day that is possible for the shipment to be completely checked in. Normally, it's about 2 or 3 weeks before that, though, that I find my inventory is available for sale. Yeah, Rakeen, I know there's no academy in Tampa. I was there a couple weeks ago, or I was there because my wife went to college there, and we've gone a couple times, and I've always wanted to hit one up, but there's none there. Yeah, D-Man, that's a good idea to find a business partner that likes to source. Especially if it's something where, yeah, either you're able to pay them for the sourcing, either on a percentage basis or something that might be helpful. I think there's a Pure Hustle podcast has kind of a deal like that set up. One of them has some employees who are like that. I'm not 100% sure. Exact product sales on the seller app. I have sales but can't where it shows which product sold. So when you go into the seller app, Tyler, you have, this is the main items. You have like add a product, manage orders. Orders are going to be what is actually sold for you. So if you just click on orders, that's going to pull up everything that's sold. CJ, thank you so much. How much of my business is retail arbitrage, online arbitrage, wholesale, private label? Private label, 0%. Wholesale, 0%. Retail arbitrage, like 96%. Online arbitrage, the other 4% is only because it's stuff that I've already bought at retail arbitrage that I just pick up replenishments for online. That's the most helpful thing. All right, Mac. Have a good night, dude. And let me see. I think I have one more question to get to. I think I'm caught up on most of the questions. Nope, that was about how many of you guys are actually Kevin, because y'all were being imposters in the community tab. I don't know if a lot of people know, but I do have a community tab that I either like post polls on sometimes. That could be helpful for me a lot of times, and just like updates. Oh, yeah, this is the last one. Carlos had a question first. Am I ungated in Nike, Under Armour, Adidas Originals on Amazon? I didn't even know Adidas Originals was a different brand. If not, what distributor that I used? I want the distributor that I use. So I'm gonna come a little clean. I am ungated in Under Armour, and I got ungated automatically with them. For Nike and Adidas, I've had a couple people reach out to me with a couple different distributors or ways to get ungated in Nike and Adidas, and I haven't done it yet. I know that I'd be able to make a lot more money potentially, and it's something that I might do in the future, but the first person asked me not to like give the information away, and that's their information that they gave me, and I know that there's some other information online about how to do that. I might get ungated in it and make a more general video about how to do that, or maybe find the distributors on your own, because I think that I have found one just by myself that I'll be able to get ungated with, and if I try it out, then I'll do it, and that way it'll be something that I did myself. Carlos, I would be interested if you wanted to give me the distributor. That'd be cool. I have my Instagram or my email, but I just haven't been too interested in it, because I don't think, obviously it's not inauthentic, but personally, I don't know, there's something that's felt a little wrong about it in terms of I want to share everything that I can with you guys, but I wouldn't want to share that, and so I don't want to do that personally, right now. I don't know if that's right or wrong, and it might change, but that's kind of where I'm at right now. But if you want to share that with me, I would love it, Carlos. I just don't think I'd share it with everybody else. Do I ever plan to get into wholesale, Jay? Maybe. Right now, it's a hard maybe. I never thought I'd be in reselling forever, and I still don't know if I will be. I love business, and I like starting new businesses and making money online. So I don't know if I'll ever get into wholesale. Also, I just realized my bandana's like really inside out. Oh my gosh. It's like the whole stream. Or is this? Oh no, it wasn't. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm interested in getting into it, but I have no plans right now. Hey, Arleth. Yeah, I think because it was Pacific time, so, or you were asking about Pacific time, so I figured there would be some people around the 9 o'clock. Because on the poll that I asked, the reason that I did the stream at 7:30 was on the poll that I asked, it was between 7 and 9 o'clock, and it was tied. So I did 7:30 so that people from 7 could be here, and I know that I can talk a lot, and I'm blown. I'm honestly like really humbled by the amount of people who have been asking questions and just being here. It's been really cool. So I knew that I could ramble enough that we could potentially get to past 9 o'clock, and so I'm glad that some of the 9 o'clockers are going to be trickling in here. Yeah, Kevin, they were imposters. It was embarrassing. Rakeen, you bought an Under Armour backpack. Noticed Under Armour was the only seller on Amazon. Got scared and took it down. Honestly, that's what I would have done too. Like, even though I'm ungated in it, that I know that there's more profit to be made, and if it feels kind of fishy to me, I'm just not going to do it. So I don't think that was a bad move at all. There are a lot of sellers who I think would tell you to do it, and I don't think that they're necessarily wrong, but I would have done the same thing that you did. Do I find I get positive comments or questions from viewers versus negative? Commander agree. You get friends, family, or strangers negatively comment or question, and how do you deal with it? So I'm going to answer that in kind of two ways. The first is the Amazon side of things. On Amazon, I have gotten some questions, especially when I started, from some family, just very well-meaning questions, like, do I feel bad that I'm like cleaning out aisles of stores? And a lot of times, especially if it's on clearance, like, no, people have had their chance. But I don't really get a lot of negative comments. I get some on YouTube, and those are hard because, I don't know, especially with YouTube being my name, I take it a little bit more personally than I even should. Like, it's just an honest person on the internet. Sometimes they're honest, sometimes they're not. But it is hard sometimes, but a lot of that is just the way that I struggle with my own identity being wrapped up in work instead of just who I am as a person. But in terms of, yeah, a lot of it is really positive, and I really appreciate that. And so, yeah, especially from viewers, like, I haven't gotten a lot of negative comments, especially about reselling. One person said that I think, what was the comment? Oh, it was one of my favorite comments. It was something about, like, I'm the worst eBay seller ever. And I was like, yeah, you're probably right. Like, I'm really not good at eBay. I'm phasing out of that. But yeah, I should try out eBay or Facebook drop shipping. Jay, I maybe should, but I'm not going to. Right now, at least. Just because I have no desire to get into that. Because it sounds like a lot of work that I don't enjoy doing. And if that's something that you might enjoy doing, or if it helps you to get to the place where you're doing something that you do enjoy doing, which is what reselling has done for me, that's great. Carlos, thanks. Audrey, hi. It's good to see you. It's so cool seeing a lot of people who have been all over the channel. It's so exciting. What do you do if your phone reception is bad in a store? Just leave. Well, first off, I just pout and cry for a little bit and get really angry. I have not thrown my phone yet, but I have thought about it. Yeah, a lot of times I'll try to find a pocket that's good, and like I'll just ride my cart around and grab everything that I want to check and throw it in my cart, and then go over to wherever I find. A lot of times it's by the electronics for whatever reason, or just like closer to a window. But if it's bad enough, the only time that I've had to like leave without checking stuff, I bought the stuff that I thought would be profitable, and then checked it when I got home, and then returned the stuff that wasn't. That was mainly because that store was pretty far from me. But sometimes I have just left if there isn't a lot of stuff that I'm questioning. That was in the video where I first got Ungated in Under Armour, and I just bought a bunch of that stuff. I ended up returning a lot of it because it wasn't profitable at all. The furthest I've driven to source D-Man the furthest right now is Tampa. Technically I didn't drive there to source. I sourced while I'm there, where I made the video about how to find places to source anywhere that you go. But my wife was going there for a girls' weekend, and we spent the night in our van We literally put our bed into our van. It was kind of funny. But other than that, the furthest that I've driven is to Melbourne, Florida, which is about an hour and a half from where I am. And that's because that was one of the times that Academy was having a clearance, and because I was able to fish down there too, so I kind of made it a dual purpose trip. But yeah, I've probably driven like 100 miles. Is probably the farthest that I've gone. Thoughts on eBay? Any product categories that I've seen sell a lot better than others? Tyler, I've done a little bit of eBay. I have a couple of videos on that. You can just see there's a couple. They're at this table, and they're like just have shoes on one side and packages on the other. And yeah, I've sold mostly shoes is what I've done, because that's what I did while I was in high school and a little bit in college to make some money. But I personally am phasing out of eBay right now because it's not worth my time, because I'm now making money on YouTube and I don't necessarily need that. And it's just been a little bit of a hassle, because I'll spend the same. I've realized I've spent the same amount of time doing eBay work at home as I have on Amazon, and I've probably made 10 to 15 times on Amazon what I have on eBay. Doesn't mean it's the same for everybody. It's just what I've been the better reseller at. And so, but I do know that eBay has been good, especially when it comes to risk-free profits, because if you don't sell something, you can just return it, and you can build up some quick capital that way. If you're able to put a lot of stuff like on a credit card, then you can return it, and you won't have to worry about anything at that point. Why don't I do replenishments versus mainly clothing or fishing? I wouldn't say that's either of those categories that you said aren't necessarily replenishments or replenishables, but I do replenishables in as much as I can, and that's something that I'm trying to learn to do better, to be honest with. I'm just not great at it right now. Joe, that I agree with that. How do I keep a healthy or positive mindset? Honestly, the biggest thing is counseling. Like, I've struggled a lot with mental health and depression in a lot of ways, and I'm a relatively positive person. I'm a relatively optimistic person when it comes to what happens in life in the long term, but in the short term I can get very depressed very easily, and then that can kind of lead into seasons where I have mental health struggles. But counseling has been really helpful for me. Doing things outside of work has been helpful, but I'm really bad at that. Like, I would work 24 hours a day 7 days a week if my body would let me, especially when I'm in a bad mind space. So that's a little frustrating sometimes, but yeah, I don't always, for sure. Definitely don't always. So, but I try to do as much as I can. How am I keeping tabs on Academy sale days? Mostly just by driving by them. I think that they will say when it is. They used to actually put like dates for their hot deals way back, like I said way back when, it was like 7 months ago. In November, December, they would put like, oh, this sale is ending this day. So I'd be like, ooh, the next week they're going to start a new sale, and I can buy new items because I've already bought out all the items that were profitable here. But for like the clearance sales, the big sales, I'll just wait until like I drive by them and see that there's the clearance, because they have like yellow pilings that they put outside. But I'm sure that they probably send it out in something. How do I feel about liquidation pallets? Hard pass. I'm really interested in them. If I like get to a point where financially I can just blow some money on one and have it be a total bust, if it is a total bust, I would love to make a video about that. I don't know if I'll be in a position to do that before the van, but I'm really interested in them. I honestly don't even know where you would go to get them, but that is something that I would for sure be interested in. Yeah, Christopher, eBay isn't really scalable, but compared to other sources of income, it's not how I want to spend my time. Completely agree. I think it can be scalable, and for a lot of people, it is. A lot of it, like, I feel like eBay to me feels like it's easy to make sales, but I think their algorithm is a little more sophisticated, because I'm selling the same product. My pictures are pretty good. Like, why is mine not selling at all, not getting any looks, but all these are selling because I can see that they're sold? So I think that maybe the more you sell, the more it becomes scalable, but I'm not 100% sure on that one. D-Men, so for the pallets hard pass, I don't necessarily think it's a hard pass, but I think it's like a risky investment. It's something that, like, it could be good, could be really bad, but I might be in it. Oh yeah, Christopher said a no-go on Amazon, but good for eBay. That's what I was thinking. I wasn't thinking of getting a pallet to sell back at Amazon. It was more eBay. Honestly, like, I just really like opening mail or like opening stuff to get surprises. So it was more just for fun, but also to sell on eBay, obviously. Audrey, you have to be careful of the status of the pallet for returned items. About 40% of the items are unsellable. Yeah, for sure. Okay, and then looks like I'm pretty caught up on the chat. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about the last question, which is a very serious question that I get on every single video where I send stuff into Amazon. And it's, why in the world don't I have a label printer yet? People don't cuss at me. Don't get that attention. But if you didn't know, I currently am just using a laser printer, which is this guy right here. It's getting low on toner, so I'm really going to have to change that out. But in conjunction with the laser printer, I'm also using these guys over here, which are Avery labels. Oh my gosh, you guys aren't supposed to see that mess. Oh. And one of the main reasons why I'm still using this one is because I still have labels left, and I purchased them, so I want to make use of them. But I definitely want to buy a label printer here soon. I just haven't, first off, had the funds in order to be able to do so. And a lot of that comes down to the fact that I realized recently that I haven't shipped into Amazon in like a month almost. All of this stuff is the first time that I bought stuff since July 2nd. And right now it's the 28th. The 28th is when I went out. So it was almost a full month of not buying stuff. And I'm disappointed because obviously my sales were slow, my profit was low, and now I'm rhyming for sure. Oh, for sure. I need to cut that out of the live stream. But that's the main thing, is I didn't have the money, and I still have the labels left. But I'm also interested. I don't think my channel is big enough to actually garner a response from this, but I'm gonna at least try to reach out to a couple different laser or label printer companies to see if they'd be interested in sending one out to do some tests. And that process might take a little bit. So I'm at least going to get rid of those labels that I have left, but I will be buying one at least before I move into the van, because that is way more sustainable or easy way to resell in the van. I'm really kind of concerned about reselling in the van. I don't know what that will look like. But yeah, Christopher just got the roller printer last night. Spent an hour trying to figure out why it wasn't printing. Found out I wasn't using thermal labels. Oh no, that's not good. Yeah, that's the thing. You got to make sure that you get the right the labels for something. I also just realized I bought those labels from Amazon Warehouse, and I looked through them, and I saw they were all 30-up labels, but I didn't realize that some of them were for inkjet printers and some of them were for laser printers. It ended up being okay, but definitely get the right type of labels. Jay said, after I move into the van, am I going to settle down again in the apartment or home, or just nomad forever? We don't know. We initially said that we were going to be in the van for a year and then leave the van and then like buy a house, but we also really enjoy traveling internationally. A lot of it's going to depend on like financial situations and how well the businesses are doing, which is the reason that like I'm doing YouTube and reselling, and just like the video that I posted today, if you haven't seen it already, the whole premise is like I am not super interested in the whole financial independence, retire early phenomenon, because a lot of times it just takes a while, and I'd rather be income independent rather than financial independent, and like working towards financial independence so I never have to work at anything again. But if I'm income independent, I never have to work for anybody again, and that's kind of equally as good, because I don't see myself ever not working at least something. But then retiring early, why would I retire early if I could just build a life around the passions that I already have? And so that's what I'm trying to do with this YouTube channel, and then with traveling and building another business around that. And so if we can travel internationally, if the financial situation allows it, then we'll definitely be doing a lot of that. But we also will probably be investing in some property if we get the money to do so. And so either buying our own house that we rent out when we're overseas, or moving back into our house. We don't know if it's going to be 1 year, 2 years, 3 years in the van. Kids are going to come at some point. Who knows what's going to happen, honestly, Jay. Label printers on OfferUp are a come up sometimes. Adonis, thank you. I will check out OfferUp because that will help my budget. Joanna, and you keep telling me I need to invest in a thermal printer. It's like you, Michael, like a bunch of other people. Everyone's telling me I need to invest in a thermal printer, and I don't disagree. I just feel like I'm lazy. Yeah, Tyler, how I mentioned my faith. Yeah, I lead worship a couple times a week at my church. I go to Nona Church here in Orlando. But yeah, I lead a couple times. And then Adonis, prepping your 2 shipments by listening to it. That's great. I really got to get to my shipment, but I really enjoy spending time with you guys. Got to speed off to UPS before they close at 7 p.m. Ooh, Cali, nice. Dude, speeding off to UPS before 7 p.m. is the name of the game. I can't tell you how many times I barely made it through those stores, so I'm trying to get my stuff done. Christopher, thanks. Yeah, I appreciate that. So I think I'm going to go ahead and we can start organizing some of the stuff for the shipment, but I am out of questions that I have for myself. If you have any ideas for like videos that you'd want me to make or future streams, or if you want to do another live stream again and at what date would be better for you guys potentially, if today isn't good, I'd be really interested. But we're about to hit 2 hours in about 10 minutes, so I'll definitely keep answering questions as they come through, but I think we'll cut it at 9:30. And if you guys bounce now, like, I got no problem with that, but we'll start organizing some of this shipment and continue to answer some questions. So I'm also like really impressed by my phone's battery at this point. How much does it have left? Oh my gosh, I still have 41% left of my battery. That's kind of crazy. All right. How fast and easy was it to get monetized on YouTube? Do I need to get 1,000 subs, etc.? Do you think you'll be more profitable via YouTube channel versus reselling? Yeah, that's the gravy right there. So reselling, I mainly did so that I could do my YouTube channel, because I've had my YouTube channel since July of 2019. If you go back to those older videos, it's not going to be good. They're really not good videos. But that's been something that I've wanted to do for a very long time. And not necessarily a very long time, but I just realized I really like helping people with their money. And that is one of the easiest ways to do that on YouTube, and one of the easiest ways to make it monetizable. And so this is something I'm just coming up on I hit a month being monetized yesterday, and I'm going to be making a video about my first full month monetized, which is July, which is going to come out, I think, next week. I think it's on the calendar for next week. But it took me a really long time. It took me about 2 years to get monetized, but it only really took me 3 months of real concerted effort, which is a lot of figuring out what people liked and doing more of it. I wasn't initially going to do anything reselling, because my main passion is helping, like I said, helping people find the freedom that they want in their life with their money. And a lot of that comes through running your own business. And I was going to talk about that, but it was going to be more through the lens of like personal finances. But a lot of personal finance content is just a white guy sitting at a desk on YouTube. And I thought about my friends and like what they would actually want to watch. And it wasn't that, because they were people who needed the content and know that they need it and want it, but like it's boring in a lot of ways. Not everybody for sure, but if you're not interested in it. So I figured, so I started over those 3 months to figure out how I was able to try to make things a little more interesting and engage people who might not know my content. And a large part of that was reselling, because that's the way that I was able to leave my job to pursue the things that I want to, which mainly was YouTube. So I'm really happy that I was finally able to get to this point. I feel like I'm not actually going to get to the shipment, but yeah. And then in terms of what I'm going to make more of, I think I'm definitely going to be making more from YouTube, like pretty soon. Well, it'll come out in the video when Arlette, thank you so much. That's really, yeah, thank you. But it'll come out in the video that I post next week. And yeah, I think hopefully by the time we move into the van, I'm making equal to, if not more, from YouTube in terms of revenue after gross expenses, which means paying off inventory. Like after I pay off inventory, the profit that I made, gross profit versus gross profit on YouTube, I think will probably be relatively equal by the time I move into the van, hopefully, which will be really cool. Let me set up this lighting real quick so it's not grainy. Whew. Oh no, I just got a message on eBay right now. I hate getting messages on eBay. I hate getting messages most anywhere. It's never good stuff. Here, let's see what this message was. Never mind, it's not showing up here. So, next question. Would I use a prep center when you're in the van? Yeah, D-Man, I think I said something about that, but I don't know if everyone was on. Commander, thank you so much. Wow. It's very humbling, but yeah, I that's something that I'm definitely gonna look into before I head into the van. All right, I don't think we're getting to do this shipment. There's a lot of questions, but well, at least sit by this stuff so I can pretend like I'm doing it. Okay, we don't have to tell anybody. Yeah, so I definitely would be interested in using the prep center at that point. Love more info on FBM listings for Christmas, like creating the shipping templates and shipping info. Audrey, I think you might have to look somewhere else for that, to be completely honest, because that's not something I'm super interested in doing, especially being in the van at that point. There will be nowhere that I can even necessarily ship from on a daily basis, because hopefully we'll be in the desert for like 4 or 5 days at a time, since we'll have solar and water and stuff. But I'm sure that there's plenty of places you can find all that. Yeah, I'm sure. So a lot of people are saying to do lives more often. I would love to do lives more often. Wow, more super chats. Thank you guys. Joe, Jay, Rakeen. Wow. Yeah, I'm interested in doing them more. I really enjoyed this. This was a lot of fun. I appreciate that you guys give me the freedom to just kind of ramble at you guys. But I'm not sure when I can fit it into my schedule. I've been getting a little bit more ahead of my videos, not a ton, but over the past couple days I've been filming 3 or 4 of them, so I should soon hopefully be at a point where I'm a couple weeks ahead on videos, which will help me to feel like I have more freedom to not only get all my reselling done, but also do some more lives. So yeah, definitely down for that. Doing with all the furniture, selling it off for storage, Christopher. So we're selling a lot of it if we can. This couch we bought for $50 on Facebook Marketplace, so if we get rid of that, whatever. That table I built, bought the hairpin legs, and I built the table and stuff. So we are either going to sell that or give it to some friends. Same with the chairs and everything. Our bed, we might put some stuff in storage, but especially because we don't know how long we're going to be in the van, and hopefully our income is at a point that's increasing, so it won't cost us a lot to replace everything that we have. We're probably not going to worry about storing a lot of stuff unless it's really important to us. Especially because we don't have a ton that's super sentimental. Like my desk, I built. My desk is silly. I built that with its hairpin legs, and then that tabletop I took off of a coffee table that someone threw in the trash at our apartment complex. So that's how I got that one. But yeah, honestly, like to rebuy everything, even including our TV, we'll probably sell our TV, but even including everything, it'll probably be around $1,000 to $1,500 max to buy everything in like 2 to 3 years. And so just like storing that, it'll probably be that amount anyway. So we'll probably just make sure that we get rid of it. More vlog style videos. JC, I agree. I'm trying to find a way to do that while also like bringing a lot of value. If you have like more thoughts on like what you want to see in that, either leave it in the chat or like comment, like either a comment or like reach out to me, because I would love to, whatever you guys think would be more enjoyable, I would love to do for you. These couple videos, the one that came out today and the reselling vlogs, obviously they're a little bit more vlog style. So if that's kind of what you mean, that'd be good for me to know. And if not, please let me know. Hype train level 5. I am so sorry. I do not know what that means. Maybe that you're on the hype train. My bad. 6 years, Tom, and you're going full time January. That's awesome. Dang, I like that you have such a plan far out. That's so cool. Cool. Joanna, thank you so much. Christopher, thank you. I'll have more when I get dude, anything. Christopher, I'll have more when I get FBA off the ground. Anything is just very humbling. I'm so grateful. Yeah, I appreciate you guys all so much for being here. It looks like we're not getting a lot more questions coming through. I think I'm just going to leave this live up whole. If it was like an hour or less, I was going to cut through it and maybe make it a little bit better. But if you want to come back to it, that would be great. Tom, thank you so much for the comments. I think I'm going to cut it a couple minutes before that 9:30 deadline. There will be more live streams for sure. Yeah, I'll be making more polls about like potential times that might be best, because if some people are able to make these times and some people are able to make others, we'll make sure that it's equitable for everybody. But Celestial Mackenzie, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate you. So many people that I see all the time in the videos. Like I'll tell my wife about a lot of you guys who will comment all the time, just because I feel like we know each other in some way. So that's really cool. Leave lives up whole and snip some shorts for more videos. That's a good idea, Joe. I was thinking about potentially doing something like that, or maybe unlisting the lives, because it's just pretty long and it might clog up a little bit of the feed, but I think I'll leave it up. Might as well. Yeah. Awesome. I will see you guys pretty soon. We got 1 more minute, and then if you want to see all this stuff get packed up, I think that video is coming out sometime next week. And I just appreciate you guys so much. Thank you guys all so much for being here.